It's the OCR GCSE Maths Foundation Calculator Paper 1 from November 2023. Let's get straight into it. Question 1. Write down the mathematical name of this solid. Choose from the list of names in the box. So this is going to be a pyramid. Part B. Write down the mathematical name of this polygon. So we're just naming this shape. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. So that means it's going to be a pentagon. Part C. On the grid below, sketch a quadrilateral with these properties. All angles are equal and the diagonals are not at right angles to each other. If we're trying to draw a quadrilateral, that means all the angles would add up to 360. And if all the angles are equal, there's 4 sides in a quadrilateral, so divide that by 4, that would give me 90. So each angle is going to have to be a right angle. That tells me it's either going to be a square or a rectangle. If the diagonals are not at right angles to each other, that would rule out a square, because if I have diagonals there, those would be at right angles. So I need to draw a rectangle. It can be any size rectangle, so just plot on your points and then just connect them up with each other. Question 2. Round 3,648 to the nearest 100. My 100 column is this 6, so that means I'm looking at the digit after it, which is this 4. The 4 is telling me that I need to round down, so it's going to be 3,600. Part B, round this amount to the nearest penny. If we're looking for the nearest penny, that would be £3.28. The pennies is the 8 column. So we're looking at the 7, and the 7 is telling me that I need to round up. So it's going to become £3.29. What fraction of the shape is shaded? I have 1, 2, 3 parts that are shaded out of 4, 5. So it's 3/5. The diagram below is made up of 100 small squares. Shade 3% of the diagram. If there's 100 squares and we're trying to shade 3%, percentages are always out of 100, so we just need to shade in 3 squares. Question 4. Write down the 3 factors of 25. Factors just means what numbers can I divide by without leaving a remainder. So I know 1 goes into 25 and 1 would pair with 25, and the only other number is 5. Part B. Write down a square number between 40 and 70. A square number is just a number that's been multiplied by itself. So 1 squared would be 1, 2 squared, 2 times 2 is 4, 3 squared, 3 times 3 is 9, and it would continue 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, and 64. So you could either choose 49 or 64 here. Question 5. Find the number that is halfway between 4.2 and 6. If we're looking for the number that's exactly halfway between those two, we need to find the mean of those two. So we're going to add them up together and divide by how many they are. 4.2 add 6. 6 add 4 is 10, so 10.2. 10.2 divided by 2 is the same as 10 divided by 2, which is 5. And 0.2 divided by 2 is 0.1, so 5.1. Question 6. 4 lines meet at a point. Work out the size of angle A. I can see that this is a right angle because there's a square there. Angles around a point add up to 360 degrees. So if I take these away from 360, I'll get my final answer. 90 add 39 is 129. Add 125. 125 doubled is 250. Add 4 more gives me 254. So I need to do 360, take away 254, which leaves me with 106 degrees. Question 7. A painter mixes red paint and yellow paint in the ratio 2 to 3. That's red and that's yellow. They make a total of 1.5 litres of paint. Work out how much red paint they use. So altogether, these 5 parts are going to equal 1.5 litres. But because we're going to be working in millilitres, I'm going to change that into millilitres. How many millilitres are there in 1 litre? There's 1,000. So we need to multiply this by 1,000 to give me 1,500, and those 5 parts will be equal to 1,500. What would 1 part be worth? I need to divide this side by 5, and I need to divide this side by 5. 15 divided by 5 is 3, so it's going to be 300. We're trying to work out how much red paint they use, so that's going to be 2 multiplied by 300. 2 times by 300 is 2 times by 3 is 6, and we need 2 more zeros. Question 8. The diagram shows a cuboid with dimensions 12, 5, and x centimeters. The volume of the cuboid is 240 centimeters cubed. Find the value of x. We're trying to find this missing number. How do we find volumes of cuboids? All we do is we multiply the length by the width by the height. Here, the length is 12, the width is x, and the height is 5, and that is going to equal 240. Let's simplify this left-hand side. 12 times 5 is 60. 60x is equal to 240. I can just divide both sides by 60. 240 divided by 60. The zeros would cancel out, and I'm left with 24 divided by 6, which is 4. If you want to check this, you can do 12 times 5 times 4, and it would give you 240. Question 9. Heidi and Yoshi compete in the same car race. Heidi completes a race in 6 hours. Heidi's average speed was 50 miles per hour. Yoshi's average speed was 48 miles per hour. Calculate how long it took Yoshi to complete the race. Give your answer in hours and minutes. This question is testing our distance, speed, time, and this is the formula triangle for distance, speed, time. Let's first consider Heidi. Here we've been given the time, which is 6 hours, and we've been given the speed, which is 50 miles per hour. Because we have time and speed, we're going to be needing to find the distance. So distance is equal to the speed multiplied by the time. So the speed is 50 multiplied by 6, which gives me 300. So the distance here is 300 miles. Let's look at Yoshi now. So for Yoshi, we know that the distance is going to be 300. We know that the speed is 48. We're going to try and find the time. So time is equal to the distance divided by the speed. Here the distance is 300. The speed is 48. 300 divided by 48 is equal to 6.25. I've got 6 hours here and 0.25 of an hour. What is 0.25 of 1 hour? That's the same as 1/4 of 1 hour. 1/4 of an hour is the same as 15 minutes. 60 divided by 4 gives me 15, so it's 6 hours and 15 minutes. Question 10. Alex and Emma use this recipe to make scones. The recipe shows the ingredients needed to make 16 scones. Alex makes 24 scones. He uses a tablespoon to measure the amount of milk he needs. The size of a tablespoon is 15 milliliters. How many tablespoons of milk should Alex use to make 24 scones? Let's first think, how would we get this recipe for 16 scones? We want to try and get it to 24. So what number goes into both 16 and 24? I know 8 goes into both of them, so I could divide this recipe by 2 to get me 8 scones, and then I times it by 3. And we need to consider the amount of milk. So the amount of milk is 70. 70 divided by 2 gives me 35, and 35 times by 3 is 105. So we need 105 milliliters of milk. We need to measure the milk in tablespoons, and each tablespoon is worth 15 milliliters. So we're doing 105 divided by 15. So you could just write out your 15 times table: 15, 30, 45, 60, 75, 90, and 105. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Part B. Emma has 1 kilogram of flour and 240 grams of sultanas. She has lots of all of the other ingredients. Work out the maximum number of scones Emma can make. Here we've got a limited amount of flour and we've got a limited amount of sultanas. We need to figure out what is the limiting factor, either the flour or the sultanas, before we work out the maximum number. So how many times more could I make this recipe if I only have 1 kilogram of flour? I'm doing 1 kilogram divided by 400. 1 kilogram is the same as 1000 divided by 400, which is 2.5. This tells me I can make this recipe 2.5 times more. So that's the flour done. Let's do the sultanas. It's 240 grams, and I need 80 grams of sultanas. So 240 divided by 80, that tells me I can make this recipe 3 times more. So which of these is smaller? It's the flour. So this tells me that the amount of times I can repeat the recipe is 2.5 times. I can't repeat it 3 times because I only have 2.5 times more of the flour. We need to do 2.5 multiplied by the amount of scones that it takes to make originally, so 16. 2.5 times by 16, which gives me 40. So the maximum number of scones is 40. Question 11. 140 people are asked if they have a bicycle or a car. 20 people only have a bicycle. Because it's only, we can place this here. 72 people only have a car, so that'll be placed over there. 29 people have both a bicycle and a car, so that would be there. Show the information on the Venn diagram, that's already done. How many people do not have a bicycle or car? So we're just trying to find this missing piece of information. So far, we have 22 plus 29 plus 72. So 22 plus 29 plus 72, which is 123. Altogether, there's 140 people, so we're doing 140, take away 123, which gives me 17. So the remaining people is 17. Write your answer in the correct place on the Venn diagram. That's already done. Part C, one of the 140 people is chosen at random. Work out the probability they have a car. How many people have a car? So it's going to be this entire circle, that's 72, add 29. And altogether, there are 140 people. So 72 add 29, 70 add 20 is 90, 99, 101. So 101 over 140. Question 12. The cost to hire a motorhome are shown below. The first day cost me £130, each extra day is £90 and each mile travelled is 60p. Finley hired a motorhome and travelled 560 miles. The total cost of hiring the motorhome was £916. Calculate how many days Finley hired the motorhome for. Show you working. Let's just create an equation for what's going on here. So the first day he's paying £130 and thereafter he's paying £90 for every single day, but we don't know how many days that is. So it's 90 multiplied by x. We need to remember this x is the amount of extra days. He's travelling 560 miles and each mile is costing him 60p. So we're doing 560 multiplied by, I'm going to change this into pounds, so that would be 0.6. That would be equal to the total amount that he's paying for the motorhome, so 916. All we need to do now is solve this equation. So I'm going to clean this up. I've got 560 times 0.6, 336, and then add that to 130. That gives me 466. So 466, that's that bit and that bit completed, plus 90x is equal to 916. Let's take away this 466 from both sides. So 916, take away 466, which gives me 450. 90x is equal to 450. Let's cancel out those zeros. So 9x is equal to 45, x is equal to 5. Remember, x is the amount of extra days. So altogether, he's going to have 5 add 1, which is 6 days. Question 13. A climber is in a competition. Here are their scores after 2 events. Event 3 is out of 52 points. The climber's overall score is found by adding the 3 scores together. Find the score the climber needs in event 3 to achieve 85% of the total points. Let us figure out the total amount of points. So 30 add 38 add 52. 30 add 50 is 80, 88, 90, 90 add 30 is 120. So total is 120. We need to find 85% of that. What is 85% as a decimal? Just divide it by 100, that gives me 0.85. We're going to do 0.85, which is 85% as a decimal, times by 120. This is telling us the score that the climber is trying to reach. So far, they've got 24 add 32, 20, 50, 54, 56. And they're trying to reach 102. So we're going to do 102, take away 56. That would just be 46. Question 14. For each graph below, select its possible equation from the list. I can see I've got a straight line, so it's going to be y is equal to something, and the y-intercept is 0 because it's crossing at 0, 0. So it's not this one, it's probably going to be this one. That's B. This second one is a graph of y equals x cubed, so it's going to be F. Question 15. Here are 2 functions. When the input of each function is 6, so I'm going to put 6 into both of them, the output of function A is equal to the output of function B. Work out the value of P in function B. So when we input 6 into function A, what do we get? 6 times 5 is 30. 30 add 4 is 34. So that 34 is going to be equal to 6 times by P, so 6P, take away 8. Just need to solve this equation. Right now, P is multiplied by 6, and then we're taking away 8, so we're going to get rid of this first. We'll add 8 to both sides. 34 add 8 is 42, is equal to 6P. P is being multiplied by 6, so we divide by 6 on both sides. 42 divided by 6 is 7. Question 16. Multiply 5a and in brackets 2 minus a. Whenever I see brackets, there's an invisible multiply sign between them. I'm multiplying everything outside the bracket by everything inside the bracket. 5a multiplied by 2, 5 times 2 is 10, 10a. And then I've got 5a times by negative a. So because it's a positive multiplied by a negative, it's going to be a negative. 5 times by 1 is 5, and a times by a is a squared. Part B. So 5x plus 9 is greater than 12. So we'll just treat this as an equal sign. Right now, x is being multiplied by 5, and we're adding 9, so we'll take away 9 first. So 5x is greater than 12 take away 9, which is 3. X is being multiplied by 5, so we divide by 5. X is greater than 3 over 5. Part C, solve by factorising. We've got a quadratic here because the highest power is a 2, and we're looking for 2 numbers that multiply to make the 12, and they're going to add to make 7. If you're not sure, you could write out your factor pairs of 12, 1 and 12, 2 and 6, and 3 and 4. So it would be these two. So in the first bracket is x plus 3, And in the second bracket, it would be x plus 4 is equal to 0. Here, one of these will be equal to 0 because we have one thing multiplied by another thing, which is equal to 0. That tells me that one of them will be equal to 0. So I make the bracket on the left equal to 0, and I make the bracket on the right equal to 0. Just solving these, x is equal to negative 3, and x is equal to negative 4. Question 17. A prime number is a whole number that has exactly 2 factors. Explain why 1 is not a prime number. What are your factors of 1? It's just 1. So 1 only has 1 factor. Part B. A and B are prime numbers. Write down the 6 factors of a squared b. Let's just use numbers to represent these. So I've got a and b that need to both be prime. So I'm going to choose the 2 smallest numbers. A could be 2 and b could be 3. So what would a squared b be? A squared b is a times a, 2 times 2, which is 4, and 4 times by 3, which is 12. Let's look for all of the factors of 12. That'd be 1 and 12, 2 and 6, and 3 and 4. So how do these numbers relate to a and b? 1, you can't relate it, so it will always be 1. And 12 is the same as a squared b. 2 is the same as a. 6 is the same as a times by b. 3 is the same as b. And 4 is the same as a squared. Question 18. The table shows the results for a sports club's A team. Complete a label pie chart to show these results. What do the angles in a pie chart always add up to? It's angles around a point, so it's going to add up to 360. I can see this one is quite nice because I can see 40 multiplies by something to give me 9. 360 divided by 40, 36 divided by 4 is 9, so I need to multiply all of these by 9. 12 times by 9 is 108, 10 times by 9 is 90, and 18 times by 9 is 162. All we need to do is draw these on. So I'd probably draw this 90 degrees on first, use a protractor, and it looks something like this. That would be a right angle, so it's quite easy to draw. Then I'd do this 108, so that would be there. And then the last one should measure 162, so that's how you can check your answer. After you've done the first two, measure the angle of this last one, and it should be 162. Just label those up, so that would be draw, that would be lose, and that would be win. Part B, here are the results for the sports club's B team and C team. The C team manager says the pie charts show that the C team won more games than the B team. We can see that this bit is bigger than that bit, but we can't see how many games they played in total. Referring to the pie charts, explain why the C team manager may not be correct. We can't see the total amount of games, so we can just say the total amount of games they each played is not given. Question 19. The graph shows Taylor's journey from home to an airport. During the journey, Taylor stops for petrol. For how long did Taylor stop for petrol? So this is a distance time graph, and it's the distance that he's away from home. As you can see, he's moving away from home up till 20 minutes, which is over here. And he stops between this point and this point. What would that point be? So there's 5 gaps between 20 and 30, so each gap is worth 2. That'd be at 22, and that'd be at 24. So between 24 and 20, there are 4 minutes. Part B. Taylor drives the same route back home from the airport at an average speed of 45 kilometers per hour. Taylor leaves the airport at 10 p.m. Work out the time when Taylor arrives home. Let's first figure out the distance from home to the airport. The distance is over here, and this one is going up in 2s again, so that distance is 48 kilometers. So the total distance is 48. Here, the speed is given in the question, it's 45. We're using our distance, speed, time formula, and we're trying to find the time. So that is going to be equal to distance divided by speed. That's 48 divided by 45. And remember, this is going to be in hours. So 48 divided by 45. This is 1.066, but this is in hours, so I'd rather have it in minutes. So I'm going to multiply that answer by 60, which gives me 64. So that's 64 minutes, or 1 hour and 4 minutes. Let's add that on to the time that he left. He left at 10 p.m. So 10 p.m. add 1 hour is 11 p.m. So it'd be 11:04 p.m. Question 20. Write an expression for the weight in grams of an object weighing x kilograms. So if an object weighs kilograms, how do you turn it into grams? This way is in terms of x, so we need to do 1000 multiplied by x, or 1000x. Part B. Write an expression for the area in meter squared of a garden of area y centimeter squared. How do we convert from centimeters to meters? We just divide by 100 because there's 100 centimeters in a meter. But if we're converting areas, we need to divide by 100 squared. 100 times 100, so that's 100. We just need 2 more zeros. So we're dividing by 10,000. So we need to do y divided by 10,000. Question 21. A student is using trig to work out an angle B in a right angle triangle. They tell the teacher that sine of B is equal to 5/4. What's the identity for sine? So it's SOHCAHTOA. So sine of theta is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse. So sine of theta is opposite over hypotenuse. And if you think about a right angle triangle, the hypotenuse must always be the longest side. But here we can see the opposite is the longest side, which doesn't really make sense. This needs to be the largest number. Here we can say the hypotenuse must be the longest side. Part B. Here's a right angle triangle. Work out the value of x. Let's first label these sides. So the side opposite the right angle is the hypotenuse. The side opposite the angle is opposite, and the side that's remaining is adjacent. We're going to be using SOHCAHTOA. Which of these are we going to be using? Because we're looking for an angle, we care about the sides that we're given, which is A and H. So which of these have A and H in? It's going to be cos. So cos of theta, the angle that we're trying to find, is equal to 24 divided by 40. We need to rearrange this, so we get cos on its own. I'm going to rewrite this as x. So x is equal to, if I move this to the other side, I get inverse cos of 24 over 40. Just type this in and you get your answer. So it's shift cos, and it's 24 divided by 40, which is 53.13. Question 22. On a bus route, there is a set of traffic lights and a level crossing. The probability that the bus stops at the traffic lights is 0.7. That's already on. The probability that the bus stops at the level crossing is 0.2, so we could put that on there. Use the information to complete the tree diagram. Whenever you have the probability of something happening, it needs to add up to make 1. So these two need to add up to make 1. So 0.7 add what gives you 1? That would be 0.3. Here, this would be 1 take away 0.2, so 0.8. And we'd copy the same from above, 0.2 and 0.8. This one is stops, so this one is does not stop. This one would be stops again, as above, and this one would be does not stop. Part B. Find the probability that the bus stops at either the traffic lights or at the level crossing, but not both. So we're looking for it to stop at one place. So it could be stops and does not stop, or does not stop and stops. How would we find the probability of multiple events happening? We just need to multiply them by each other. So for the first one, I'm doing 0.7 times by 0.8, which equals 0.56. For the next one, it's 0.3 times by 0.2. 3 times 2 is 6. There's 2 decimal places, so it's 0.06. All we need to do now is just add these two together. 0.56 plus 0.06 is equal to 56 add 6 is 62. 0.62. Question 23. The measurements in centimeters of two triangles are shown in the table. Are the two triangles mathematically similar? If two triangles are similar, that means one is an enlargement of the other. It means that everything has been multiplied by the same amount. What has this first one been multiplied by? So 7 divided by 2.5 gives me 2.8. So if all of them have been multiplied by 2.8, then they are mathematically similar. Let's do the same things for the other one. So 8.96 divided by 3.2 and 11.2 divided by 4. And you can see it's always giving us 2.8. So let's write 8.96 divided by 3.2 is 2.8, and 11.2 divided by 4 is also 2.8. So we can say, yes, they are mathematically similar. They all have the same ratio or the same scale factor. Part B. Are these two triangles definitely congruent? Congruent just means they're exactly the same as each other. So this is 70, that's 105, that's 105, and that's 47, that's 47. But we don't have any side lengths. Just because the angles are the same doesn't mean the side lengths are the same. So these are not exactly the same as each other. So the answer would be no, because the side lengths aren't given. Question 24. 2 kilograms of carrots and 5 kilograms of potatoes cost £6.36. So I've decided to write this because I can see what type of question it is. 3 kilograms of carrots plus 2 kilograms of potatoes is equal to £5.25. Find the cost of 1 kilogram of carrots and the cost of 1 kilogram of potatoes. Show you working. So we're trying to find one lot of C and one lot of P. We've got two equations with two unknowns, so that means we're doing simultaneous equations. We need to either make the C's the same or the P's the same. Because we've got smaller numbers with the C's, I'd rather make these the same. What number is the lowest common multiple of 2 and 3? That would be 6. So I want to multiply this top one by 3 to make that 6C, and I multiply the bottom one by 2 to make that also 6C. So we're multiplying all of this by 3. 2C times 3 is 6C. 5P times 3 is 15P. £6.36 times by 3 is £19.08. The bottom one, I'm timesing everything by 2, so 3C times 2 is 6C, 2P times 2 is 4P, £5.25 times 2 is £10.50. I have two equations with common coefficients before my C, so I can add them or I can take them away. If I take them away from each other, that'll remove the 6C's. So that's what I'm trying to aim for. I'm just wanting one variable. 15p take away 4p is 11p. I need to take these two away from each other. £19.08 take away £10.50, which is £8.58. P is being multiplied by 11, so I need to divide that by 11. That's 78. So P is equal to 0.78. So one potato is 78 pence. We can substitute this into the easiest equation, so I'm going to choose this one. And then we can find out the value of the carrots. So we don't know what the carrots are. 2C plus 5 lots of P, which is 0.78, is equal to £6.36p. Let's expand this. So 5 times 0.78, which is 3.9. So 2C plus 3.9 is equal to 6.36. C has been multiplied by 2 and then add in 3.9. So we're going to take away this 3.9 first. 6.36, take away 3.9, which gives us £2.46. This 2.46 is equal to 2C. Just need to divide both sides by 2. So C is equal to £1.23. The carrots are £1.23 and the potatoes are £0.78p. If you want to check this, you can substitute both of these into the second one and it should give you £5.25. Question 25. Riley and Sam are conducting surveys. They're both given the same list of 12,463 people from which to select a sample. Riley selects every 56th person. Sam selects every 64th person. They both start counting from the first name in the list. Work out how many people will be selected in both surveys. Show you working. Let's just figure out how many people Riley will select. So there's 12,463 people altogether, and he's going to select every 56th person. So we're doing 12,463 divided by 56. That would give us 222.553. Even though this would round to 223, I'm going to round it down because he's not going to ask 223 people. There's only 222 people for him to ask. So that would be 222. I'm going to do the same thing with Sam. 12463 divided by, this time it's 64, which is equal to 194. Same as before, I'm rounding it down. So that would be 194. We've considered how many people that they're both going to ask, but we need to consider all of the duplicate people, so we need to remove those. How could we find all of the common people from both of their lists? We need to find the lowest common multiple of 56 and 64. The way we can do that is find the prime factors of 56. So an easy way to do that is do 56 is equal to, and then press shift, and then you're looking for this button where it says fact. So that's 2 to the power of 3 times by 7. Then we're going to do the same thing for 64. 64 equals, and then shift fact, which is 2 to the power of 6. When we're looking for lowest common multiples, we're looking for the highest power of each unique factor. So here we have 2's in both of them. What's the highest power? It's the 6. So it's 2 to the power of 6, and the highest power of the 7 is just going to be 1, and there's no 7 there, so it's just times by 7. We're doing 2 to the power of 6 times by 7, which is 448. That's the lowest common multiple of both of them. I can check this is using my calculator. So there's a button here which says LCM. If I do alpha and press that button, LCM appears, and I'm looking for the LCM of 56 and I want comma, so shift and press this button where the comma is, 64. That tells me the lowest common multiple of those two is 448. So that's checked my answer, but I need to show this to get the marks. Every 448th person will be a duplicate. So I need to do 12,463 divided by 448. 12,463 divided by 448, which is 27. I need to add these two numbers up, and then I'm taking away 27. So 222 plus 194. Take away my duplicates, 27. 222, add 194 minus 27 gives me 389. So they'll ask 389 people altogether. Question 26. X or Y is a sector of a circle, center O. Show that the area of the sector is 15.3 centimeters squared, correct to three significant figures. What's the formula for area of a sector? It's theta, the angle, divided by 360 multiplied by the formula for area of a circle, which is pi r squared. So it's the proportion of the circle that we have multiplied by the formula for area of a circle. Here the angle is 70, so 70 divided by 360 multiplied by pi multiplied by r squared. Here the radius is 5, so 5 squared. I know that bit is 25, so I've got 25 pi multiplied by 70 over 360. So I've got 25 pi multiplied by 70 over 360. That gives me 15.2716. 15.2716. And if I need to round it to three significant figures, I count 1, 2, 3. I'm looking after here. So that would round to 15.3 to three significant figures. So it's the same as the answer that they've given. That's the end of the questions for today. I recommend you go through the paper and write down all of the topics that you struggle with before you attempt another paper. You can check out my channel for other question walkthroughs and other past papers, including the ones from this year's set. I'll see you soon.